What's up, everybody? I'm Lakeem Wilson. I'm an artist, illustrator, and entrepreneur out of Dallas, Texas. And today we're in Kansas showcasing our art during Black History Month, and I'm excited to be here. I think we need to tap into the algorithm or create our own search engines of notable and reputable black artists. Um, because society would tell you that we're not a part of art history. You know, they'll go to the abstract eras or impressionists and things, and they show all of these great, and it's not necessarily a white artist thing, but they don't really represent the black artists who are doing those things in this era or in this generation. So I think the solution is creating our own paths, creating our own algorithms, our own genres and narratives, so that we don't have to we don't have to depend on their historical critiques and narratives, but we have developed our own, which we have done that. And I know a ton of artists, black artists, that are represented in the history books outside of Basquiat, because I know that's the one of the black artist names, but Kerry James Marshalls, the Frank Fraziers, Michael Ray Charles. There's a lot of black artists who transcends those categories. Right. I'm definitely aware of the issue. In South Dallas, the neighborhood grew up in, it's a food desert. There's like one grocery store, one Fiesta, but on every other block you have McDonald's, Jack in the Box, Golden Chick, or chicken everywhere. And a few places that have vegan options and things, but to get good food, you have to go on the outskirts or go to other places. And me and my fiance, we intentionally tried making foods that's healing. Not necessarily going vegan or vegetarian, but just being conscious of eating clean. We were always checking and reading the labels and seeing what's in these things that we're buying. We do slip up from time to time and get fast food when we're on the run, but I think the best solution is being intentional and being disciplined, and it really happens when no one else is around you. When you're not being watched over by a friend or somebody that's holding you accountable, what decisions are you making when you're by yourself and you have those urges to go get food or things? It got to be something inside of us individually and inside of our culture that makes us hold ourselves accountable and say, even if I have to drive that extra 10 minutes, I'm going to find some food that's actually clean and that's good for me, that make me feel better. Because at the end of the day, eating clean, you feel more energized, you feel lighter, you feel better. I know I do when I try it out. So that's the solution. I think it starts internally with an individual. And the solution is also having accountability partners, because they're going to make sure that you're holding firm to your word and what you say you want to do. So that's what I think. Well, it have to start at home, being an example. The parents have to be an example of cooking more often. I know so often black parents are maybe working multiple hours and things, and when they come home, they don't feel like cooking, so they just go pick up McDonald's and that's dinner for the night, or they go. But it got to be an intentional upbringing so that their kids can be adapted and used to it. Um, and it's just a matter of habits, um, correcting habits, and someone have to make it look fun, make it look appealing, show that it's delicious and just as good, to where the bad food doesn't even appeal to them. It's like, oh, what is this? Or they got to be bougie sometimes and say that I'm choosing this over this food. and it got to start at home. And a lot of times it's at home with the parents, you know. I think it's passing the torch. I don't know if it's the biggest problem, but I think it's a very important problem. And that problem is our elders or our older folk, our older people, not knowing how to bridge the gap with the younger people or train or mentor them. And fortunately, we have great people like Mr. Frank Frazier and artists, and not just artists, but older people who know and understand that, all right, I'm not going to be able to keep this position of power forever. Eventually, I got to start mentoring or teaching someone how to do these things. And I think as far as the problem go, I've seen a lot of adults or elders want to hold on to the power and don't want to train or teach people or show the younger people up under them how to do things. And that create a gap because the young people are like, man, I don't respect him. Or it was a YouTube clip I saw that said an OG is not just an older person that tells you what to do. Just because it's someone that's older than you, that doesn't make them your OG. And he was like, OG is a term for offering game. Young people need to build and make connections with the older people. Older people need to, overcome their ego sometimes and teach and talk to a young man and have patience with them. A lot of times they push them off to the side and say, they don't want to listen or they don't want to do this. But it takes a mature adult to have and, one, lead by example and be the example and not just criticize, but analyze and help them understand things. Don't just push them off to the side because you think they're ignorant, because you was once, or not, but, they were once ignorant in that age, they're in those shoes as well. So it's just understanding that if we don't bridge those gaps, it's always going to be a separation between generations, and younger people might not know what steps to take to find success or be wealthy, or they take their own paths, and it's not what the older people expect because no one was there to mentor them. So I think that's the biggest problem that I recognize that we should solve as a culture. It is, yeah. I believe in the 33% rule. 33% of the time, I have my nephews, they are aspiring artists. One is a fashion designer and getting into fashion. 33% of the time should be spent mentoring or bringing up younger people. And then 33% of the time should be spent with an elder or older person, that's someone that's wiser than you and older. Then the last 33% is spent with your peers, people who are in the same arena with you, you're in the same ball game, and y'all are hustling together, figuring things out together. Like us, we're all a group of artists on the road. So as long as we divide our time and give attention to all three of those age groups, I think we'll be well-rounded as individuals.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.